help calculate, what type of emissions you're putting out. Again, in the partners that we work with, which is food and restaurant business.
Yeah.
So there's going to be very specific numbers that are very specific things that they'd be looking at. But, get that calculated or estimated and add like you said, add $1 on to, a food bill for those who want to contribute to the offsets. But
Welcome to Carbon Conversations, a podcast by Biochar Life, where we explore the cutting edge of environmental solutions. From biochar to smart agriculture to the climate tech revolution, we sit down with experts and business leaders at the forefront of change. This is your host, Matt Rickard. Hey Trina, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Hi Matt, thanks for having me. I'm good.
Cool. End of your day, I presume, so beginning of mine.
It is.
Cool. Well, look, good to catch up, and we've known each other a while, and yeah, I think this is a good opportunity. It's different to most of the other podcasts I've done because I'm typically talking to scientists or I'm talking to other producers in the biochar space. But of course, you guys are on the somewhat on the client side, on the delivery side, and you're in a very different space in terms of carbon removal. But you are making use of it, which is what we want to talk about today. So, as a starting point, great to get an introduction. Trina's Concierge and Catering, TCC.
Yes.
Yourself, Trina. So yeah, maybe a bit of an intro on the work you do, what we do, which will help the audience to understand some of the stuff we're gonna get into.
Okay. So in a nutshell, we are a food delivery service. That's how most people would, describe our space. We are typically, the concierge part of it comes in because we are typically coordinating quite a bit of the details of that food delivery. It's not just someone going online, placing an order for, their typical local fast food place at the, end of the street or whatever and having it delivered. This is more professional environment. 99% of what we do is in the professional space. We're delivering to doctors' offices, professional buildings for meetings, training sessions, whatever might be going on in a building, in a company. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what we do. We're food delivery. The concierge, as I mentioned, comes in because we do a lot of logistics, a lot of coordinating the meals, making sure that people have, pescatarian needs met, vegetarian needs met, gluten-free. I mean, whatever you can think of might have a need, someone's dietary need. We're making sure that that's taking place and that it's delivered properly. So that's kind of our space. Myself, I've been in some level of sales my entire career. I mean, mostly consultative, from HR, the life cycle and retention cycle of employees at large companies. That's kind of where I grew up and started my career. In this particular space, I've been here for 20 years. My youngest son was an infant when I started. And so I've been in this space for that long. But as far as being Trina's Concierge and Catering, that all hit when the pandemic hit.
I was about to ask you that. Yeah, I'm sure that you've seen an interesting journey.
Exactly. So when I began in this space, in this industry, I mean, it's evolved 10 times over. So as you can imagine, as fast as technology changes, being in this space for 20 years, you can imagine, I've seen quite a few different things. We entered this space, myself and the company I worked for at that time, entered this space 20 years ago as a website where people could go online and order food. Well, how many people do you really think were ordering food 20 years ago online?
Yeah, right.
Not many. So we ended up, with my sales background, we did make a go at it and we did pretty well. But when the pandemic hit, I mean, it completely shut us down. I mean, the entire industry was shut down. But, due to my sales background, the clientele that I had built, I had a following. So, I mean, literally, after we shut the doors on that company, I had customers calling me and contacting me saying, "You've got to do something. You've got to open back up. We need your service." Mostly because the medical field was the group that didn't shut down. You know, during the pandemic, they still needed food, and reps for pharmaceutical sales still needed to get food into those offices so that they could do some type of dialogue with them and continue to promote their products. So that's what allowed me to open back up TCC under my own ownership and get started there. So yeah, 20 years, can't believe it, but yeah, that's what we've been doing. That's what I've been doing, but only 4 years under TCC. So
Cool. And Texas based, Texas focused.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
Texas is home. That Houston's our, basically our backyard, but Texas is definitely home. We have delivered well outside of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, some of the states that are kind of neighboring
Yep.
Texas. My prior experience in the same organization allowed me to deliver food all over the U.S. But we, yeah, definitely Texas based, and Houston is home.
Cool. Well, firstly, congratulations. Good success story, and
Thank you.
yeah, not an easy time getting through COVID, which feels like a bit of a distant memory now. I've got to say, it does seem a while ago, but it was, yeah, for anyone that kind of traversed that situation with a business, has to be congratulated, because it wasn't easy. And okay, for the audience point of view, the reason we're talking obviously is because for some time now, we've had a partnership with you guys in terms of delivering carbon removal as part of your own offset commitment. So, because you have drivers that deliver, there's a way to kind of measure that impact. So, with that in mind, what and when, what was the decision to kind of offset driver emissions? What motivated you to take that step? And what's been the impact on your operations in terms of doing that?
Sure. So we've done a few things in trying to, quote unquote, give back. The concept of, when we do well, we want to share with others. We've been involved in a few charitable events. When some of my clientele have reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you sponsor this or that?" Mostly through food efforts. We've done some things like that. But I still didn't ever feel like what was something solid that we could do to make a difference or be part of something that makes a difference. So truly, that was the motivator. When I learned about biochar life, and how those offsets allowed us to kind of give back and put back into the environment what we were taking from it with all these deliveries that we do. In addition to that, going into what biochar life stands for, the what are they called? The shareholder or smallholder farmers that.
Yeah.
Yes, that this is impacting, and the economic impact that has on that group of people. I mean, that to me felt like something that we could be consistent with. We know we're doing X amount of deliveries per day, per week, per month. So why couldn't we take that, and fund an initiative to give back to the environment that way? So that was kind of the intent behind it all, is what could I do that would continue to be solid, something that was consistent that I could do. And that made the most sense to me when I heard about it. So
Cool. Well, and maybe you touched on it there, but what was the kind of decision-making process in terms of looking for, the type of partner you were going to work with? Because there are a plethora of different carbon offset type programs, and without me going down that rabbit hole, but there's kind of removal and there's avoidance, all this other stuff. But what was the kind of process that you went through in terms of selecting us as a partner and deciding to collaborate with us on this?
It was the smallholder farmers, the initiative there. I mean, literally, I did not know much about the space to begin with, and just learning that mission and what it stood for, what you guys did. I mean, that in itself sold me. So that in itself is the truly the thing that made my decision. So
Cool. Yeah, so the social mission aspect of what we do, which is good. It is a differentiator. And of course, all projects have their own benefits. But I suppose with us, the kind of what are called co-benefits of supporting communities, working with people, providing that additional benefit in their livelihoods, as well as the carbon removal piece. So from a consumer point of view, I mean, sustainability is on the minds of many people today, businesses, governments, but also consumers. Have you got any good examples, or more generally, how have your kind of customers responded to you kind of taking on this initiative and offsetting the emissions?
When I originally started this, I didn't think I wasn't so caught up in what others thought of me. We were just doing it for the purposes of what we wanted to do as an organization. And it wasn't until I started to get some of that feedback that I realized, okay, well, this is what people think of an initiative like this. I truly wasn't focused on the client base and what they thought of it. I was more focused on what we were doing as an organization and what we stood for. But what I've realized is that it did really, help solidify our branding, so to speak. It has, we consider ourselves do good, just do good in all aspects, whether it's me processing an order or a driver delivering an order. The end of the day, at the end of the day, the comment to my team members is always, how well did you do that? Did you do it to the best of your ability? So the whole do good, good food, good service, and do good and giving back to some extent. That's what it really has. That light has, I guess, shined, I guess, so to speak, where the client is actually recognizing us for that. Again, we're still in our beginning stages of this and starting to take it to maybe the next step and reaching out to some of those food and beverage providers that we work with. So we're in the very infant stages of that, but that's what I've heard. It's done, I think, more for our branding than what I initially thought that it would. I wasn't going down that path with my initial thoughts.
Cool. That's good to hear. You touched on there the fact you're starting to reach out to your partners, because your model is that you obviously have a number of these food and beverage outlets that you work with to do your deliveries. But I know we've been kind of supporting you on a model where you can reach out to them to offer the same thing. Tell us a little bit more about that. I know it's early stages, but interesting to know for anyone listening who's looking at rolling out a program like this. Yeah, give us a bit more on that. Be good to know.
So the initial intent is to share our story, to let them know what we've done, what we've been able to accomplish, how it's helped our branding, just the good pieces of this puzzle that we've encountered. So that's, the initial intent. We've started to have some of those basic conversations with some of the groups that we do the most business with. So we're kind of starting at the top and moving down our list. And in those cases, it's been received well. Sometimes, with restaurateurs, they're a little bit artsy. Sometimes it can be, and so that you have to get them kind of roped in, so to speak. But initially they understand the concept, and then they thought it was a good piece for us. Like, okay, so if we do more business with you, you pick up the orders, you deliver the orders, then we're giving back. That's not the intention. I was trying to share
Sure. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what we're doing so that they could purchase their own carbon offsets. But I mean, that works too. That just means that I have to make sure that I get more drivers on board. But so initially, again, we haven't done a lot of legwork on it yet, but initially, it has been received positively. So it's just a matter of getting further down that project list of calling some of those additional vendors. And some of the vendors are larger chains. So in that case, we'll have to spend, put another resource on it that can really get in at that top level and talk to those chains. Most likely those chains are going to have some type of sustainability, goal or project list of their own internally. But it's, if there's anything that we can do to push them down that path, or coach them or coax them down that path, then I think that's a valid conversation to start.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
we're not very far along, but we're headed there.
Yeah. Cool. Well, obviously we're here to support you on that. I think you'll find that in many cases it'll be about educating them on what is it that we do, because it is, as you've learned, it is quite different. And this word offset, it just kind of encompasses so many different things, and obviously the work we do is specific to smallholder farmers, to communities in developing countries. The offset is there, but there's a whole lot more to it. So the other thing I was thinking as you're talking there, the good thing today, I think, is that so many service providers have this in place, such as airlines. You book an airline now these days, nearly every airline has a button that you can push and say, hey, pay an extra $1 to offset this travel, or whatever it is. Obviously those aren't the numbers, but I think hopefully that awareness will allow many of these retailers to have at least some understanding of what the offering encompasses, right?
Exactly.
Cool. Looking towards the future, and obviously this is your kind of initial and first step into, a program around being sustainable as a brand and being able to promote that to consumers. And are there other things on the path? Are there other things you want to do that you're looking to do? And as you kind of grow your own sustainability plan and kind of enhance that journey.
Well, it would be very interesting to continue down this path and make, get involved in more, probably the smaller venues that maybe don't have the larger initiatives to do this. But just working with them, maybe even consulting on other types of, I don't know, recycling and things like that. I mean, we serve engineer firms, architectural firms. And in this case, we have clients that will not take anything in a styrofoam container, just due to environmental, what they're trying to do with the environment. So just maybe if we can be, I guess, and I think this is a little bit further down the road. We're just trying to introduce the offset program to them. But, if we could be that voice or help steer some of the smaller groups. We have a lot of small mom and pops that are out there, small little shops that, they're just trying to make ends meet. But if they could learn more about how to do it in a better environment, I think that would be helpful. I could see us spearheading something like that.
Yeah.
Much later down the road.
Yeah, that makes sense. And maybe in the same vein, I suppose, what advice would you give to other businesses that are, kind of following in your footsteps, looking to kind of roll out their first sustainability plan and do, maybe not this, but something similar that has some sort of impact, what advice would you give to those businesses?
Quite honestly, I would say to them that this is probably the easiest part of the whole business is to, help calculate, what type of emissions you're putting out. Again, in the partners that we work with, which is food and restaurant business.
Yeah.
So there's going to be very specific numbers that are very specific things that they'd be looking at. But, get that calculated or estimated and add like you said, add $1 on to, a food bill for those who want to contribute to the offsets. But my biggest feedback would be that while maybe they don't understand all the ins and outs of what goes on behind the scenes, what you guys are doing, how this actually comes together and works, all the details, the intricate details of how this works. Maybe they don't understand that. Maybe they just get that at a top level. But once they understand what type of emissions they're putting out and how they can purchase those offsets to help give back to, and cover their footprint, their carbon footprint, that's the easiest part of running a business. So cool. That would be my biggest takeaway from this. And again, I didn't realize what this was going to do from a branding perspective. That's not why we did it.
Yeah.
We did it truly for what could we, in a small business with minimal margin, what can we do on an ongoing basis that was going to give back in some way? And this, I didn't realize what it was going to do, like I said, on that branding side, but we're getting positive feedback there.
I think that's a really key point. Like just through my kind of journey of understanding different sustainability programs, not Biochar Life, but, previously really. And one thing I've always noticed is that, if a brand is if their focus is on what it can do for the brand, that's almost nearly always the wrong approach. Whereas if the focus is on the sustainability piece, the brand nearly always shines because of that model, right? It's like most things in life, I'm sure. But I've seen that, and I won't go through the numerous examples, but I've seen that many, many times. So great to hear that it is working, that, for doing the right thing, it is giving the brand recognition that should come from that. So I didn't have any more questions, but is there anything I didn't ask that you'd like to share, and anything else you feel is important?
I mean, it's a journey. It's definitely a journey. I don't have any other tidbits really to share. Maybe ask me in another 3 months. Let's see how far
we can do that. Cool.
Let's see how far we get. But
the only other thing, sorry, go on.
Again, I was just going to say, I just didn't know, what the outcome would. That's you've already said it, but that's what I wasn't looking for that, and that's what we're finding out here.
Cool. So. Well, I think to round off, where can people learn more about TCC, about yourself, about this program, if they want to get in touch, and maybe they're an F&B outlet, and what's the best way to reach you, to follow you, everything else?
Absolutely. You can always reach me through our website, which is www.trinacc.com. There's a toll free there. It's 1-866-91-TRINA. They can reach us anyway. LinkedIn. So all of the above.
Cool. I will put those links in the speaker notes for anyone watching or listening. So, and Trina, thank you for taking the time. It's been great to catch up, and appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me.